Yeah, my wife and I were not ever in the Sea Org, thank God, but we were public Scientologists down here for quite a long time, and we raised our children here. And when my younger son Sammy got into his teens, they were heavily trying to recruit him to join the Sea Org. And one night, he was either 16 or 17, because he could drive, but he was still a minor. And he was on a course. They used to have courses in the Oak Cove also, and so he was, after course, they dragged him off to, not physically, but they got him in a room to recruit him to join the Sea Org. And time passed and he still didn't come home, and finally my wife was extremely worried. I was worried. Now we're starting to call and say, where's Sam? Well, it turned out they took his phone away from him so that he couldn't talk to us and we couldn't reach him. And finally we did raise enough cane that he did show up at home and wasn't recruited, thank God.
Praise be.
That aquarium lot there, that was such a desperate effort from purchasing by Miscavige. You can see why, because if anybody builds a building on there, they will be able to look right in the windows of the Oak Cove. But perhaps more significantly, on the top floor of the back of the Fort Harrison here, in one of those cabana rooms, is where Lisa McPherson was held. And the idea that people might build a building that would allow oversight into the Fort Harrison property and around the pool area, these rooms in the back, even into the windows of the Fort Harrison, is just too horrible to contemplate, and in fact is worth, to David Miscavige, $20 million. Because if he purchased that property, nothing would happen there. It would become another park that Mark Bunker could sit on a bench in until they called the police on. He came up with some cockamamie plan of building a building with a swimming pool because he said that they were so desperately in need of a swimming pool. Well, there's one right there in the Fort Harrison, and there is another one over there at the Sandcastle. And swimming pool time is not a priority when you are a public person or a staff member. In fact, the staff members can't even go in the swimming pools. If you're a public person here, you're expected to be applying yourself to your Scientology activities, not taking a dip in the pool. So this was a joke and a justification, because he can't very well say, well, I really want that property because I don't want you guys having it, and I don't want any wogs building a building here that they can watch into our Scientology properties. So fortunately, David Yates, who was the head at the time of the Clearwater Aquarium, held his ground and didn't cave into the threats. And that property remains a property owned by the city of Clearwater. And a recent city council meeting determined that it was not being sold to Scientology, that it is to be maintained as a part of the development plan for downtown Clearwater. So perhaps for the first time since the mid-90s, the City of Clearwater has taken a position which is a very, very unpopular decision with Scientology, and held their ground. And for that, they should be commended, and Mark Bunker should in particular be commended, because he has brought this issue to the forefront, as have the Tampa Bay Times and the reporting by Tracy McManus that has brought this issue into the minds of people in Clearwater and demonstrated to them that you don't need to be cowed. You don't need to be scared and backed off, that what's right is what's right, and that's not necessarily what Scientology wants. And what needs to be done is what's right for the community, not what's right for Scientology.
When I told you guys that David Miscavige was coming here every week to do graduations, so you see right here where this building goes up a little bit, there's actually an auditorium here called the FH Auditorium. And this is where they used to do graduations every week when David Miscavige would come here. And that's actually where David Miscavige kicked my ass. I'm not using a figure of speech. He made me turn around and he kicked me in the ass. Right in that building, right there. How did he reach me? He was on a bunch of phone books.
Okay, so we are now walking past the Fort Harrison Hotel. This is actually the this is the juice bar where
Yes.
they serve smoothies. Last we heard, Mike's son Ben was working there making smoothies, saving the planet one smoothie at a time. There was a time when Ben actually was trying to leave the Sea Organization and they would not let him, just to spite Mike Rinder. That's what an awesome organization this is. We're walking by the swimming pool area here, and
Cameras, wave to the cameras as we go by.
this Presbyterian church. Actually, I wish Ted was unmuted because he said some really interesting things about the church. And I'm going to edit. But anyway, you see this giant parking lot that this church has. Okay, this is how stupid David Miscavige is. He's fighting all these battles like it's really, really important. He must win these battles for these individual development, to keep these individual lots from being developed. There are so many lots around this base that are about to be developed. It doesn't matter if he wins one or two battles, he's going to lose the war. This parking lot right here, one of the potential, this church has agreed to a potential project of building up a several-story mixed-use commercial on the bottom, parking on the top, so that people can come to downtown Clearwater and have more parking. So like even, he's waving us on. Like there are so many development plans for downtown Clearwater that Miscavige has lost sight of the fact that he really doesn't have any chance to win this battle with Clearwater. That is how I personally feel. That's not to mean everybody should be complacent about it. You know, we need to do everything possible to help the city's development plans pass referendum. You know, part of when I start my campaign for city council later this year, I'm going to be doing everything I can to help the citizens of Clearwater educate the rest of the citizens of Clearwater that these development plans are not going to benefit Scientology. They're going to benefit the people of Clearwater. And if the citizens of Clearwater understand that, they will make sure that these plans pass referendum. Scientology will do everything possible to lie to everybody and make people believe that they are the ones who will benefit from these development plans. Scientology will do everything possible to kill these development projects at referendum.